I think, Roman Reigns, maybe I'll hit him for 6 with the old cricket bat. I was not scared jumping off the top of that cage. I didn't expect what was going to happen, but in a heartbeat, I'd do it again. If you were to tell me that one day Paul Heyman was going to be your manager, I wouldn't have believed you. So the biggest thing I've taken away from him is...
I'm here with WWE superstar and Australia's own Bronson Reed. Welcome home.
No, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be home here in Australia.
When was the last time you actually got back to the country?
I came maybe for a week in 2021, but unfortunately I went home to Adelaide and I was sick for the whole week. So I didn't really get to do much in that whole time. So I'm excited to be back. I've been in the States now for 7 years. I've been living there and I miss Australia all the time.
I was driving here down St George's Terrace in the middle of the city, and there's your head on the placards next to Rhea Ripley as I was driving down. John Cena, the next one after that. Cody Rhodes, the next one after that. You return a fair income star. It must be really cool to come back home knowing your status within the company.
Yeah, that was sort of a dream of mine to be able to come back to Australia as a WWE superstar, something that I've always thought about. And now it's a little surreal seeing the big flags and stuff with me up there with the likes of John Cena.
And you come up with a really big prominent place on the card as well. Australian street fight, Roman Reigns. Like, this is a status moment for your career. How important is this compared to when you've had other big matches, but doing it here?
Yeah, I feel like it does hit different. I've had a lot of big matches in my career. I faced Roman Reigns once before, but it was in Paris. It's always different doing it on your home soil. It's a bit of a homecoming for myself. I have a lot of guys that I wrestled with on the independents that are going to be at the show, a lot of friends and family watching, and I'm facing, the face of WWE. I'm facing Roman Reigns, so it's a huge deal for me.
An Australian street fight, different to a normal street fight. I was driving here thinking, well, you could have a kangaroo warning sign. You could smack him over the head with that. There's a boomerang you could smack him over the head with as well. But I think the ultimate, Australian summer's coming up.
Well,
cricket bat. Now, this is mine from when I was a kid. The Dyna Drive boundary, the double scoop from the late Dean Jones.
Look at this.
Serious damage with that.
Well, I think, Roman Reigns, he's got another thing coming. Maybe I'll hit him for 6 with the old cricket bat. The Australian street fight, I think the difference is we do it a little bit harder down here. Even with our sports, we don't wear protective gear or anything like that. So Roman has to be ready to, take it up that next notch compared to a normal street fight.
Would you whack him with something like that?
100%.
Yeah.
I think I might even have one in my hotel at the moment. So
hold the bat up to the crowd afterwards.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't get it in his hands, that's always the risk with bringing weapons into the match.
You've embraced this opportunity to be a menace. You are the big Bronson Reed and powerful. How fun is that to be in that position where you can be a damaging weapon every time you get in the ring?
Yeah, it's very fun for me. I'm unlike a lot of the other wrestlers in our modern era where I am over 300 pounds. I'm a big guy. So I use that to my advantage. I use my body as my own weapon, basically. So it is really different. I think I bring something different to the table when it comes to WWE.
The Tsunami is an amazing move. Like, people your size aren't meant to get up onto the top rope. How did you come up with it? And were you concerned about the damage you could do to yourself doing it over and over and over again?
So it's something I've done for a long time. Like, even before I was in WWE, I sort of perfected it in WWE though. The way that I deliver the move is slightly different to how I used to do it. If you take notice, I jump off the top rope with 1 foot. And it's, at the moment, it's the only finishing move in WWE that no one's ever kicked out of. So it's been 6 years strong. No man has ever kicked out of the Tsunami, and we're going to keep it that way.
Do you feel in control when you're leaping up with the 1 foot? Or you instead of landing and going, I'm not sure how the knees are going to cop?
Yeah, I do feel in control, but I obviously am giving myself some damage at the same time as my opponent, but it's enough to keep them down for the 1, 2, 3. So I'm willing to go through the pain myself to win the match.
You've got some amazing moments with it. The highlights reel just roll on and on. What are the ones that stick in your mind as, I'll look back on that in 20 years and go, that was a sick TV moment?
I think arguably the biggest one for me, and I've had it broke a bunch of viewing records and stuff on social media, was when I jumped off of a wall onto my opponent on a car. So I smashed through a car with a Tsunami. I think that's one that everyone's always going to remember.
Was that scary to even think of standing up there?
It was a little scary, yeah. It's one of those things, like, when you do it, it's daunting once you can't practice these things. You sort of just have to go up there and do it, because if you second guess yourself, that's when you get hurt, which I've been hurt before.
And the multiples you're doing now, like, go back up, do it again, that really adds to the moment.
It does, yeah.
Can you feel the crowd behind you and just go, I'll do another one, I'll do another one?
I had a big moment in WWE last year where my now friend Seth Rollins, I gave him 6 tsunamis, and I could feel after everyone the crowd just building and building and building. By the time I got to that 6th tsunami, the crowd was going insane. So again, it hurts me though to do it as well as my opponent. So I try to limit as many as I do now.
How do you reflect back now? It's 18 months since the WWE was in Perth and you weren't able to come because for a very positive reason, the birth of your child. Like, it must have been hard. You had no option. You were always going to stay.
Yes.
But mentally, you would have been like, oh, I'm not sure when I'm going to get the chance to go back there. What was that time like for you?
It was a little bittersweet at first because, of course, I wanted to be here and perform in front of friends and family and in my home country. But then at the same time, there's nothing like the first child being born. Like once I had my daughter Deja and I had her in my arms, I was like, this was all worth it. Like I had to have been here rather than anywhere else. But then as time went on, I'm like, okay, when are we going to go back to Australia? And I was just waiting and waiting, and now we finally have that opportunity.
So when it was announced, were you thinking, oh, this is I've got to make sure I'm in a prominent
100%, yeah. I mean, I didn't know that it was going to be me and Roman Reigns, but I'm like, surely I'm going to be a big part of the show. So I was just had my fingers crossed, and now everything's worked out.
So the crazy thing is, halfway between then and now, you're in a really prominent position. You join the Bloodline, you stand on top of a cage, and you shatter your ankle with what's just a crazy move in hindsight.
Yeah.
Were you fearing for your career and even just life in general, walking around with the damage that you actually did then?
Yeah, in the moment, I had known that I had injured myself. I didn't know to what severity. I actually stood up and I walked out and went backstage. So then the doctors backstage didn't think I had broken anything because I was walking around. And then about an hour later, the pain set in and I couldn't stand up. And I was like, okay, something's gone wrong here. And then from there, my recovery, I had my leg was not allowed to be weight bearing for 2.5 months. So like my leg, I had to build up all the muscles in my leg again, my right leg. I had to learn how to walk again on my right leg, and then run and then jump and then everything that we do in the ring as well. So in the back of my mind, it was a little scary, wondering like, will I be able to get back to where I was or, exceed where I was? And thankfully, I put in the hard work, rehabbing, and now I'm better than ever.
So we always talk about in every industry, risk versus reward.
Yes.
You took a massive risk and it could have ended you. But the reward is that everyone now talks about that. Everyone respects the fact you got yourself back and you're in this position. How do you weigh up risk versus reward when you're deciding how many risks it's worth taking where you could genuinely hurt yourself?
I feel like we're sort of in that business where we have to take those risks. That's sort of what we do. But it's calculated risks. I was not scared jumping off the top of that cage. I didn't expect what was going to happen, but in a heartbeat, I'd do it again.
In a heartbeat, you'd do it again?
Easy. Yeah.
Because of the rewards?
Not even that. I just think I could nail it again and not hurt myself.
Okay.
Hopefully.
And it feels like this industry at the moment, the big people within it love you and rate you. You're coached by Shawn Michaels. Triple H clearly rates you. And you've worked for Paul Heyman, who I love. What's it like having those guys in your corner?
Again, it's something that like you dream of. As a young kid, I was a long-time wrestling fan. I used to watch Shawn Michaels. I used to watch Triple H. I used to look up to them. I was a big ECW fan, so I was always a fan of Paul Heyman. And then when I started wrestling, if you were to tell me that one day Paul Heyman was going to be your manager, I wouldn't have believed you. So now it is really rewarding because I get to work with these guys, but also they give me so much of their knowledge and what they've done in their career, and it just helps me with mine.
So Heyman specifically, like he's a genius with the way he goes about things. His ability on the mic, his facial expressions, everything he does works.
Yep.
What's it like spending every day of your job with him and what's he taught you?
I think more than anything, so he is that wealth of knowledge, and his whole life is what we do. It's WWE, and he's been like that since he started in the business. He's been in the business for over 4 decades now. So he's seen everything, he knows everything, and he's always given me different stories of what he's done or wrestlers in the past have done. And it's sort of the biggest thing I've taken away from him is not so much one sort of lesson he's taught me, it's just confidence. He's put a lot of confidence in what I do and believing in myself.
So Cody Rhodes' promo the other day said, I'm sure he's told you that you'll be a main event star. The reality is everyone who is with him ends up in the main event.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're with him, which means your actual prospects are clearly on that pathway from a company perspective. How does that feel?
It feels great. I said to Paul the other day, he read another interview that I did, and I was talking about how it was a dream of mine to be a Paul Heyman guy, and he's thanked me for that. And I said, I take it very seriously. It's not if you look at the people that he's managed over his career, they are all main eventers. They are all world champions. So I take that very seriously, and I want to make sure I live up to that hype as well.
So WWE are in Perth for SmackDown, Crown Jewel and Raw. It is live on Netflix around the world and into ESPN in the US. Tickets are still available at Ticketek. If you cannot go when you are in Perth, there is the Netflix Sports Club, which is the Northbridge Brewing Company. It looks awesome. I walked past it yesterday. We can give you VIP entry, including food and beverage. My email is now on the screen. Send me an email with your favourite WWE moment and you'll go into the draw to win those VIP tickets so that it will be a fantastic weekend. What are we expecting from the crowd?
That's where I'm sort of interested. It is a homecoming for me. I'm hoping, like, I'm a bad guy, so I'm so used to people booing me when I come out, but I don't know if they're going to be booing me or cheering me. And so I'm interested to see what the dynamic is. Obviously, Roman Reigns is a big superstar all around the world. He's beloved, so I know people are going to be cheering for him. So we've got to see what the atmosphere is like on the night.
They're going to be cheering for you. Like,
well, I don't know. We'll see.
We love our own. Like, it's going to change the dynamic of what you're trying to do because there's no one out there from an Australian perspective who's going to be against you. Yeah,
well, I hope so. It's the one time where I say, like, I don't mind if the people are cheering me. Usually I don't care about the fans because, that's sort of my persona. But here on home soil, if they cheer me, I'm going to be with them as well.
Clash in Paris, like, the crowd was just
very much against me.
Out of control with their chanting.
Yes.
But that's what European sport really is.
It is.
We don't behave like that at footy, cricket. The Barmy Army will be louder than us when the Ashes is on later this year. I'm not sure what to expect from how we're going to behave as the crowd to bring that sort of atmosphere. I don't think we can match that.
We'll see. I feel like, I've wrestled a lot in this country, not with WWE, obviously with other companies, and I feel like the crowds are also passionate, but they're just loud all the time, and I love that. I love that they're just always doing something, so I think that's what we can expect from Perth on Saturday.
Talk to me about the effort that goes into being a superstar like yourself. 24 hours in transit, you were on TV all day preparing for the show, then to the airport, then from Dallas to Sydney to Perth. You lose an entire day and it's 8 o'clock in the morning and you're here already. And we've seen Grayson Waller running past here, training and stuff like people all around the city today. You guys have a fair dinkum crack and you don't take time off for anything, it feels like.
No. We're one of the rare things that has no time off. Our schedule is all year long. You also do have to keep yourself fit for what we're doing. It takes a lot of cardiovascular effort. Everyone's in the gym as well. And you don't really get moments to breathe sometimes. Like, we went from Raw straight here to Perth. We obviously have the shows Friday, Saturday, and then on Monday. But then after that, we have a live show in Melbourne. Then I go straight to Tokyo. Then I go straight back to Sacramento. Then finally home. So, like, some of these stretches, I think I'm on the road for 16 days. It's not just a physical toll, but it's a mental toll. So I always tell people, like, it takes a lot to be a WWE superstar.
It takes a lot to be a wrestler in Australia.
I mean, yes.
I had a look at your history, right? 2018,
Yeah.
November 23 and 24, you're an hour from Melbourne Airport wrestling in Ferntree Gully in Victoria. The next day, November 25, you're here in Perth.
Yes.
So for American people, 4-hour flight over here out to Balcatta. Back on the flight, other way, back to Sydney in Penrith, which is an hour from the airport. So there's more time in the air. You have a day off, then you're in Melbourne for 2 more days. Then you fly back here the next day, November 30. And then December 1, you're back in your hometown in Port Adelaide. It's 9 days, 8 matches, 6 flights, 17 hours in the air and 8 hours driving.
There you go.
You've got a commitment.
Oh, yeah. There's been times, again, before WWE, I wrestled independently all over the world. And I did a lot of stretches like that where, I was running on caffeine, basically. I remember wrestling in Ireland and then going to Italy and then from Italy straight to the UK. I don't think I slept for 3 days. I was just up, venue, wrestle, airport, venue, wrestle. It's just like that. So it really is a lifestyle as well, what we do on the road.
And the Aussies are really excelling at the moment. Rhea's been Rhea for ages. Grayson Waller is just changing himself slowly. And Zaria was on SmackDown the other day and doing really well in NXT after being discovered. The last time they were here, she was at the tryouts in Perth. Like, how do you see this crop of Australians and the next crop coming through?
Well, I feel like we're going from strength to strength here in WWE. Obviously, Rhea Ripley, I always tell people she's exceeded her expectations. She's done everything within the company. And now she's almost famous outside of wrestling. People know her from TikTok and things like that. And then you do have Grayson and Zaria as well building their way up. myself with the vision and what we're doing. But I do know there is a crop of young wrestlers here in Australia that 100% could be with WWE. And I always tell them to keep pursuing it, because you never know where you're going to get unless you do pursue those moments.
When your push comes, you have to see
You have to.
every opportunity, which you're doing at the moment. Do you look long term, or are you a day to day? And are you looking for WrestleMania next year as an example, or are you looking to the next thing that you're doing?
I have like little goals in the back of my head for long-term things, like something like WrestleMania. Obviously, I'm thinking about like who could be my opponent, what could I do then? But it is one of those businesses you do have to live day to day, because things change so rapidly. For example, someone could get injured. Thankfully, hopefully, no one does. But someone could get injured, and then that changed the scope of things, and you sort of have to work day to day, week to week.
And whilst you're going to be the focus of everyone from an Australian perspective, John Cena, like, it's massive for Australia. I think that his last appearance is going to be in this country. Like, not many people have had the chance to see him live throughout all of this, and we're getting that. How excited are you to even just be part of his farewell tour as a fan growing up and now as a compatriot?
Yeah, I feel like he is arguably the greatest WWE superstar of all time. Not only do the Australian people get to see him wrestle here in Perth, but he's wrestling AJ Styles, who is arguably another one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time. So it's a big moment, and I'm very happy I've been able to be a part of that. Earlier on this year, I actually took a attitude adjustment from him. Didn't feel the best, but it was something I could tick off the bucket list.
Since everyone wants to have their moment with him before it finishes?
Especially we know that he's retiring, so if you can get those moments with him, it's something special.
You got a message for the Australian fans who are going to be there, be at any of these events over the coming days?
I think my message is just to have fun and enjoy it. This is something that it's a global product. We're going everywhere, but you never know where we're going to be. So while we are here in Perth, just be your loudest and have fun.
Well, as I said, SmackDown, Crown Jewel, Raw, all in Australia, all in RAC Arena, Friday, Saturday and Monday on Netflix and ESPN into the States. Get your tickets at Ticketek. Come and see this dude, because he's a fair income star and he's going to smack him over the head with a cricket bat. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.